Hello and welcome to today's live. So, I am going live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. And this live is for you. If you are someone that feels like they're energetically blocking themselves from receiving what you want, and perhaps you've tried mantras, perhaps you've tried affirmations, and you feel like it's not working. And I'm going to show you what you can do instead of doing the mantras and affirmations if those aren't working for you when it comes to receiving what you want. And this will help you make more money by asking for the money that you want when it comes to raising your prices for your business or asking for bonuses or asking for a higher salary when it comes to working in the corporate space. Now, if you're someone that wants to make bigger asks and take bigger risks and ask for more money when it comes to increasing your finances, and if you're someone that feels like you want to shift self-sabotaging habits to self-serving habits, then reach out to work with me one-on-one so you can learn how to make more money without feeling like you're a fraud or without feeling like you're taking something away from someone by asking for more. So today we're going from people pleasing to pocket pleasing, and you're going to learn how to get paid and be seen without feeling like an imposter and without feeling like an asshole for asking exactly for what you want. So let's get started. Perhaps you're someone that wakes up in the morning and you're already thinking, I have a lot of shit to do. Your calendar is filled with deliverables for your clients, the things that you have to serve when it comes to products, your services. Perhaps you have calls that are already scheduled. And if you're in the corporate space, perhaps you're a leader and you're already waking up to a calendar filled with meetings. You have an inbox filled with emails that you already have to catch up on. And your day already starts as if you are feeling behind. And with all the work that you do, with all the results that you help your clients get, with the money that you're already helping your corporation make, and the KPIs that you're already hitting in your business or in the corporate space, perhaps you have resistance to asking for more money for yourself. It's easy for you to help others get the money that they want, yet there's a block when it comes to you asking for the type of money that you want. And I want to know, first and foremost, why you create those stories for yourself. Why do you already make yourself bad for asking and wanting more? And why do you question if you're a fraud for making bigger asks when it comes to money in exchange for your services or in exchange for your leadership capabilities? Now, you've already seen that you can get your clients to 10x, 2x, 20x their ROI when they're working with you. And you're already making 10 times more for your corporation that you're even asking for. So if you're already knowing that you're asking for a fraction compared to the impact that you're capable of making, I'd love to know why it's so difficult for you to make the asks, especially when you have already made sacrifices when it comes to your family so you could show up in the way that you could feel proud of when it comes to your business or when it comes to the corporation that you work with. And you want to number one, provide more resources for your family, provide more resources for yourself. You feel like you deserve more money and you feel like you deserve nice things. And the reason that you're asking for more money is because you want to be compensated for the amount of impact that you're making and will continue to create. You want to scale your business. You want to make sure that you can provide for your kids, your grandkids, and grandkids. And you're ready to create a foundation for your legacy to build itself on. So, this is for you if you want to feel more compensated for your time, for your energy, and for your efforting because you're already showing up as a powerful leader. Now, there may be resistance when it comes to you asking for more money because you're worried What if your clients leave you if you ask for more money? Will your coworkers dislike you when you ask for more money and when they know that you're making more money than them possibly? Or will people start looking at you in a negative way? Will the people that you care about start looking at you differently when you start to make more money? How will the relationship dynamics change when you start to show and it's become more apparent that you are making more money? And perhaps you fear people will leave you when you are seen as someone that is a success, when you are seen as someone that is making more money, and when you have more visibility as a leader that makes more money. And it's this fear of being seen as bad or as an asshole or as someone that is taking from someone that is keeping you in this cycle of allowing yourself to people please by not asking for what you want out of fear of what their thoughts, feelings, behaviors will be when you actually get what you want, or even just for asking. Now, in not asking for what you want, you're also perhaps creating a level of resentment. And we already know closed hands don't get fed. And your energy is blocking you from receiving what you want because you're already creating these stories and narratives that support more and feed into more the narrative of you don't deserve what you're asking for. You're an imposter. You haven't done enough work. You don't have enough experience, even though you have bucket loads of experience and evidence that you can use to justify why you want to ask for more. For whatever reason, you're creating this narrative that supports the opposite of what you really want. And these people-pleasing tendencies are a form of self-sabotage. And Dr. Aziz Gazipura also, he calls this a form of inner approval seeking. And in his book, Not Nice. And he says that this is the way that your inner approval seeker will find ways to validate why people's feelings and thoughts about you are more important than your feelings and thoughts about you. It really comes down to our primitive brain wanting to feel accepted because there's a level of, can I survive if less people like me? Our ancestors, our hunter-gatherers, our ancestors that had to survive by, killing giant animals, and they needed those herds of people to survive. And there's a part of us that feels like if we are not liked, we won't survive. Perhaps our basic needs won't be met. So you're feeding into that narrative of, I will not survive if more people don't like me. So this causes you to perhaps wake up, and even though you're excited about helping people, now you're starting to feel depleted by showing up to your client calls because you're not feeling compensated. You're not feeling well resourced by the work that you're giving out. Perhaps you're walking into work with a chip on your shoulder because you know that you're creating an impact. You know that you're helping this corporation make more money, yet you're not feeling like you're getting what you deserve. Perhaps you're at home, you're not as fully present with your kids, and as they're telling you about their day, you are thinking about work, you're thinking about all the things that you have to do and all the resources that you don't have to do what you want to do. And it's starting to feel like Groundhog Day without Bill Murray. Same shit, different day. And you're tired of being the NPC of your own life. You're ready to embody main character energy and take the reins of your life. And you're a leader that serves. You serve from the heart, and you're a leader that deserves to get paid in your business or in the corporation space exactly what you deserve because you create results. Now, the underlying issue is, again, that you don't want to be rejected. And it's showing up in your business, it's showing up in your corporate space because your fear of how people will think about you. And of course, you wanting to be received. And in doing that, in placating to the emotions of what you think people will think about you, you're putting yourself into a box. A box that once felt safe is starting to close in on you. And you realize in wanting to be seen, in wanting to be liked, in wanting to be palatable, in wanting to not rock the boat, you're betraying yourself by not asking for what you want. And this is a common challenge that I've seen with my clients. This is something that I personally have gone through myself. And in my fear of being seen as a jerk, perhaps as even a bitch, right? I'm not only not asking for what I want, I'm confining myself to a box of what I think people want me to be. And each day that I've done that, it took away from my essence, it took away from my light, it took away from my worth. And it felt soul depleting. And I'm sure many of you can relate. So as I overcome my fear of being seen as someone that is not liked, right? Or perhaps someone that is greedy for asking for what they want, I realize that there's nothing wrong with being seen as a jerk. People aren't going to like you anyways. And there's nothing wrong with creating healthy boundaries around what you want, so long as you're not using anger or forcing people to do what you want them to do, as using anger as a ways of creating some sort of false confidence. And if people don't agree with your vision, that's okay, because they don't understand what your vision is for you, for your family, for your clients, or for the corporation that you're leading. And it's not your job to over-explain yourself, especially to people who don't even ask or are trying to understand your vision. So as long as you're not asking with the intent to manipulate, and also know that you're not taking anything from anyone, so long as you are intending to not only just be well resourced, but you're also wanting to come to work or show up for your clients refreshed, knowing that you are fully compensated for your time. You're not taking away from anyone. So this is why I tell my clients, and I also tell myself and remind myself, that overcoming your fear of being seen as not liked is really learning how to see yourself as God sees you. And the way that God sees you is that you are worthy, or asking. You are worthy to ask exactly for what you want. Asking, ye shall receive, correct? So in asking for what you want, learning how to eradicate yourself from shoulds that are put on you by society, perhaps by culture, perhaps by your peers, the thoughts and narratives about how you shouldn't ask for this because what if they think this about me? All of the shoulds that we confine ourselves to. What Dr. Aziz Gazipura says is to make a list of all the shoulds that you have. I should ask for this. I should act like this. I should be like this. Do they agree with your future self? Do they agree with your vision? Do they agree with the level that you're wanting to take yourself to in your life, in your business, in your career, in your finances? Ask yourself what should be eradicated and what shoulds you should keep. For example, one example that Dr. Aziz Gazipura says is that and you may or may not agree with this, this is just something that he says. He says that I should not physically discipline my kids. That's an example that he had given. Does that agree with him? Perhaps not. However, what agrees for you? What shoulds do you agree with? And creating that inner boundary with yourself. I should make more money. Is that a should that you agree with? And if you don't if that's a should that you don't agree with, then ask yourself why. What are the blocks into why you don't agree with making more money? What thoughts are coming to you when you're saying to yourself, I should not make more money? Is it because someone told you that people with money are bad? Is it because you've been told that being greedy is against one of the 10 commandments, I want to say? Ask yourself where that comes from. Because when you start creating the mind drama, when you start talking to yourself in these spiraling thoughts where you're convincing yourself that what you want does not want you or doesn't agree with your inner essence, with your inner being, with your energy, you're already feeding into the narrative of not getting what you want. And what you may do is start doing affirmations and mantras, telling yourself, I'm someone that deserves more money. I'm someone that deserves to be seen for my gifts. You're telling yourself these things in the first person. I deserve this, correct? And perhaps you're doing this and it's not working. And this is not to say that you don't deserve it. Like, you absolutely do. But I'm wondering if perhaps you can switch that way of thinking, way of speaking to yourself. Because telling yourself I, mantras and affirmations in the form of I, those are ways of creating positive self-beliefs. However, what if you don't believe in what you're saying? So you're already telling yourself something, I deserve this, but you don't believe in you in the first place. That's the problem. You don't believe in the words that you're saying. So the affirmations and mantras are going to be difficult to stick to your identity and how you shift your energy into actually receiving the money that you deserve if you don't believe it. Now, what you can do, number one, is to tell yourself, number one, let's be honest with me. I've lied to myself so many different times. I've broken promises to myself so many different times. Do I actually believe that I deserve more money? Do I actually believe that I deserve what I want? And if you don't, let's start creating distance between your thoughts and your identification with those thoughts. So that way you stop making your thoughts you. So how do you do this? First, Michael Singer in his book, Untethered Soul, says to take stock of your thoughts and to know that your thoughts are not you, and that every thought that you think isn't true. Even though our egos would love to be right all the time, they're not. And to use what Andrew Huberman says, a Stanford neuroscientist, to tell yourself from the third person, that is just a thought. That thought isn't true. That thought is not a fact. Telling yourself in the third person this, by the way, and here's why. When you talk to yourself in the third person, it's almost like there's someone outside of you talking to you for you. So, for example, I'm telling myself, I am someone that is capable of doing hard things. I am someone that's capable of making more money. I may not believe in myself. However, if I'm telling myself in the third person, you are someone that is capable of doing hard things. You are someone that's capable of making more money. You are someone that is capable of achieving this goal. I'm talking to myself as if I'm self-coaching myself from someone else, someone else's perspective. And I'm someone that I love. I'm someone that I feel safe with because I'm hearing my own voice, yet I'm talking to myself in the third person. So what this does is it tricks the brain into thinking someone else is coaching me. And what's amazing about that is that it takes the pressure off of me needing to believe in me in that moment, off of me having to believe in the I statements that I'm making with the mantras and the affirmations. It's almost as if someone else is lending their beliefs to me for me. And I can lean on those beliefs without feeling the pressure of actually needing to believe in the I statements that I was making. So you can practice talking to yourself from the third person. I hope I'm saying the first and third person correctly, but instead of talking to yourself from the I, talking to yourself from the you. So you are capable of doing hard things. You have done hard things before. Talking to yourself in this way when you're on the phone, when you're about to hop on a call with your client for the first time with your new prices, with a lead, with a potential client for the first time with your new prices. when you're on your way to a meeting and you're in your car and you're stuck in traffic and you're practicing how you're going to talk to your board if you're in the corporate space, or how you're talking to your boss when you're asking for a salary. You can practice this in the car and recite this to yourself. You are deserving of more money. You are deserving of having nice things. You are deserving of being a leader that is well resourced. You are deserving of being a coach that is well resourced, that has money, that asks for more money. Telling yourself that. And notice the shift that you have. Notice the pressure that is relieved. And finally, not allowing your fear of being seen as a jerk, as an asshole, to convince you that you're not deserving and worthy of what you want. Because here's the thing, people aren't going to like you anyways. And that's something that I've learned, no matter how much I molded myself, no matter how much I people please, no matter how much I placated to others' emotions, I was still not liked, or I started not to like myself. And if you penny pinch your own pockets by not making the asks because of how you think people will react to how you'll be when you start making more money, or when you just make the ask, you put yourself in a box based on someone else's self-imposed limitations or your own self-imposed limitations. And you box in the impact that you could be making for your clients. You limit the high-level leadership that you can embody in the corporate space. And you diminish the confidence and self-assuredness that you would have had if you were well-resourced, if you were making the money that you feel like you deserve, and if you could show up with that confidence and that courage and conviction that you deserve more cash in your bank account. And this dims your light, and it lowers your vibration, and it repels you from getting what you want. It makes you less attracted to what you want because you're telling yourself that you don't deserve what you want. And one of the things that is said in Existential Kink is that what you want wants you. You have to feel like what you want you already have, because you can only have what you already have. And I'm sure if you have been showing up for your clients and you know that you want more money, or if you've been showing up in the corporate space and you know that you want more money, you've been putting in the work and you haven't gotten more money, I'm sure that it has pissed you off. And I'm sure that it has frustrated you. And I'm sure that with you feeling that type of way, at some point, someone may catch a stray bullet with your verbal assault because of the pent-up frustration that you may feel. So you may even be seen like an asshole anyways. So you might as well be a paid asshole than a broke one. Right? So this is why I help my clients get out of their heads and into their bodies and get to the root of why they allow their fears of being seen in a negative light to prevent them from taking the risks and making the bigger asks so they can ask for more money and get paid. And put themselves in the position where they can feel worthy of receiving higher paying opportunities. We do the healing, we shift their energy so they can become the version of themselves that makes a decision to make those bigger asks without second guessing themselves. I help them shift their energy so they can become attractive to their desires, because their desires are also desiring them. They just have to know in their heart that what they desire is already theirs. So when they ask for more money, they can get what they want. And even if they don't get what they want, they don't make their identity mean that they are not deserving. And when they do get what they want, we make sure we regulate their nervous system so they don't shrink or hide or self-sabotage and repel all of that they have attracted by not knowing how to maintain it, not knowing how to continue to receive more money. And they use my signature heal method to get out of their heads and into their body, so they stop overriding their intuition with logic, so they can stop going down the route of Murphy's Law and stop telling themselves they're silly or an imposter for asking for what they want and holding themselves back so they can get paid, get seen, have the confidence, courage, and conviction to ask for more money. So reach out to work with me one-on-one, and we can start working on this today. Thank you for watching my live, and I send you so much love.